So welcome to another episode of The Gift is a Curse with me, Drew Broughton. Tonight, beautiful summer's evening here in England, sitting in a pub garden in Woburn, Bedfordshire, the Black Horse, one of my favourite places, having lived here for a little while and also so close to Woburn Golf Club, where we've just had a round, my guest and I today. So I'm with Michael Kightly. Mike, you right, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, mate.
Good to see you, mate.
Yeah, and you?
So Mike and I have known each other since you were 16, 17?
16, yeah, I was your boot boy, man.
Yeah, I'm a boot boy, yeah. So, and I'm and you're obviously Mike's footballer, started at Spurs as a young lad, then to Southend, who didn't think he would make the grade. After a few appearances into the non-league, turned it round, did exceptionally well. I guess like modern day likes of Jamie Vardy has done. Got picked up by Wolves, who took him straight into the Championship. They won that into the Premier League, and then moved to Stoke City under Tony Pulis for 3 years, and then Burnley under that almost transition where the club just completely reformed under Sean Dyche. Part of that, massive part of that, loan spells at Watford, Burton, and then finishing off at Southend. And I can say, sitting here today, you're retired as of a few days ago, really.
Yeah, last week, yeah. Yeah, so it's a mad feeling, but
yeah, how's that feel? Let's start there. So 17 seasons as a pro, 18 seasons.
It's scary because obviously you're going into the unknown. But I'm also excited, looking forward to a new chapter. Obviously, football's been my life since I was 5 years old, so it's all I know. But I actually feel relieved. I feel like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders. So I feel like the last couple of years, I've not been able to perform the way that I'd performed in the past, and physically, mentally
as well.
Yeah.
Not putting you on the spot.
No, yeah.
Why do you think that is? I mean, so by about 31, 32, you were finding it tougher to keep pulling those levels out of you.
Yeah, I think to sustain in the elite level in the Premier League is very, very difficult. And you know, if I look back at my career, I couldn't do that for long enough.
What's the toughest part? I never got to that elite level, and I have a lot of respect for anybody who did.
I think dedicating your whole life, but you know, I felt like I did that from when I was at school, really. As you said, starting at Spurs, I had to be dedicated, and I wanted to be dedicated because it's all I wanted to do. And I felt like that wore off on me a little bit towards the end. I feel like my children made me look at life a little bit differently. Where before I had my children, football was my life. Nothing else mattered other than football. And I felt like when they came into my life, I realised that there were more important things to life than football.
But that I always find it fascinating because football is such an amazing game and the power to change so many things. And you know that. I mean, Rory McIlroy said it in golf recently, but it's so hard to get that love back that you started with as a kid, where you just love playing. So hard to keep that, he was saying.
It's hard, and you might get it back for one game or, you know, for a while in training, and then you'll lose it, and then, you know, you won't hate the game, but you'll be resentful towards the game. Little things happen, little scenarios happen that affect your outside life that people don't see. And for me, I'm just a normal lad, like you know, like I was when I was 16. I'm exactly the same. So those things really did affect me. More so when I had children, if they affected me, seeing my kids or my mood to how I was with my kids or my family. I think, you know, as you said with football, you know, the gift is the curse. It's a great gift and the best gift that you can have, but it comes with a curse. It does, and for me, that's why this is, you know, the perfect name for your podcast. Yeah.
So it's you know, we talked about it recently. It's a scary time, isn't it? Because and people often think, don't they? The public think, because you've earned really good money in your career. If we go off the national average wage of 30 grand a year, you've earned really good money. And people tend to think on the outside that it's all about money. Like, if you've got money,
you're fine.
Yeah. Because you're 33 years of age, nearly 34. You know, you should be, wow, that means you can just go and sit on a beach for 40 years. I couldn't think of anything worse. I don't know.
That's what I find frustrating, because the people looking outside, they'll say, you know, you've earned this kind of money, or you're on this kind of money. How can you not be happy? But money brings other, issues in life outside of work. So now that I'm older, got older, head on my shoulders, I realise that if I'd have had this head 10 years ago, I'd have done things a little bit differently probably.
But even that, people think you retire, and that must be amazing, because they all go to every day they get up, most people, and have to grind out work, whatever they do, to pay the bills, which is that's life. And yet they think, wow, you're retired at 35 and 34, 33, 34. And let's be honest, you don't have to get up tomorrow morning or the next morning for the foreseeable short-term future and think, I've got to pay the bills. But that's I don't know, but that's one of the biggest fears for me. Like, what do you... I think loss of identity, that loss of...
Yeah, that's I might struggle with that. I, at the minute, I know it's still early days, I've only just retired, I feel like I'm looking forward to that normal life. Yeah. As I said to you earlier on at the golf club, people look at footballers as footballers. They don't look at them as, that's Michael, well, that's Drew. They look at you.
These mosquitoes away. Seem to be following my hair wax.
Yeah, they look at you as a footballer, not a person. And then you come across the odd, fan who gets it, but generally, and we say it all the time, unless you've played football and you've been there, you don't fully understand it. And you have these fans. I go to games. I went to watch Spurs recently, and you get fans saying certain things, and you just sit there and think, you look at the game completely different to what I look at it. But that's the game, isn't it? That's why everyone loves it.
Yeah, but I guess we'll jump back there. I'm gonna put that down. Look at the game differently. Why? And I've put what. How do we see it? How do we see it? So we'll leave it there. Let's park it, because we go so deep. We're only 8 minutes in. No, that's the way it'll go. But so let's just, for people, you normal run-of-the-mill kid, picked up by Spurs, like a lot of kids these days get picked up. You were obviously decent. You are, as a young kid, decent footballer. So Spurs come knocking, and you join there. Yeah.
Yeah, I signed for Spurs. I went on trial first. I think I had like a six week trial. Did fairly well. Didn't do brilliant, but did fairly well, and they took me on. And to be fair, my first couple of years at Spurs, I did pretty well. I remember, scoring goals against Arsenal and doing well. And then I fell out of love of the game at such a young age there, and I had a...
Really? So what age did you fall out of love with it?
I must have been 13, 14.
Okay.
I just found when I first went to Spurs, it was like the best thing ever. I'm playing for Spurs, and you're playing all against these big clubs and playing at their training grounds, and it's great. And then for me, just the pressure got too much. There was a lot of pressure at such a young age.
Do you remember what exactly that pressure was?
Just the coaching staff driving you to be better. And I remember one coach said to me, I got quite friendly with one of the other lads who was from London. So because I was from Basildon, I used to stay up at my friend's house in London. And the coach got wind of it, and he was like, well, you either want to be friends or you want to be footballers. You need to decide. And I was 13 years old. Yeah. And so, I thought, right, okay, fair enough. I need to lay off that a little bit. Need to, concentrate on my football, which I was anyway. And in the end, I just thought, I'm not enjoying this anymore. I used to go to training. I used to have stomach aches. I used to, have, really bad diarrhea. Just panicking basically. But I was so young, I didn't know what it was. And I said to my mum one day, I've had enough. And to be fair to my mum, she said to me, this is one that you've got to decide. I can't make this decision for you, even though you're 14 years old. This is something that you've got to decide, because I don't want you coming back on me later on in life and saying you made me leave Spurs or you made me stay or whatever. So I chose to go back and play football with my schoolmates and got the love back for the game. Really enjoyed it, and then got picked up by Southend, and I thought I'll give it one more go. That was 2 years after that.
So it's hard, isn't it? So 13, making those 13, you almost you lose that love, if you like, and then by you fall back into schools football, and then by 16 you've got that love back again.
Yeah, I just had an
15,
opportunity
15.
and I thought Southend was up the road. I'll give it, why not, give it one more go.
But if we, that point there, that's seen as an elite mindset, isn't it? And there's certainly, you've seen, you've played at the top level where the pressure's so much, and also that all or nothing mindset, I think, is really dangerous. I heard Justin Rose say in Michael Calvin's book, the Mind Game book, which I think is an amazing book and an insight into elite mindset. And it was brilliant what I read, because it's something I really believe, and I'll get your views on it, where he said the marginal gains culture is very, very dangerous for golfers, young golfers, people who are aspiring to be me, Justin Rose. That marginal gains, if we live perfectly, diet's perfect, sleep pattern's perfect, no sex the night before a game, like that absolute obsessive, it's dangerous.
It is, and the problem is
that's almost what you were experiencing on a slight thing at 13, that
yeah,
elite mindset of you don't have friends, it's all football.
Yeah, and I thought at such an early age, I thought that's too much too soon for me.
Is it too much?
And I still think that now.
Is it too much when you're 28?
Yes and no. If you want to be the best in the world, look at Ronaldo. He's had to sacrifice his life and do what he does, and fair play to him if that makes him happy. But for me, that didn't make me happy.
Yeah, but so you didn't make you happy yet.
I dedicated my life for 15 years to football.
You've fallen back in love with the game at 16, and you start playing really, really well, enthusiastic and free.
Yeah, you have to dedicate yourself, otherwise you've got no chance.
There's that over dedication.
What
does that look like for you in your vast experience? And I'm sure there's been times when you have been over dedicated.
I think you end up just being too thorough, to overthinking things, and then it affects your mental state. It affects your.
Give me an experience of that for you. A game, a club. I know there's a Wolves one. I think was there.
Yeah, I remember when I was coming back from injury. To be fair, I played for, an unbelievable manager under Mick McCarthy. He took me from Grays and, turned me into the player that I am. What I was.
One of the masters of keeping it simple, I guess.
Yeah. And he actually pulled me in before. I was just come back from injury, and he actually pulled me in and said, look, I'm going to play you tomorrow. It's your first game. Just keep it simple. You ain't got to do anything, brilliant. You not got to take players on like you used to. So I was out for 18 months. Get the ball and just pass it 5 yards and just keep it simple. Which, fair play to him for pulling me in the office. I respected him so much, and I thought, fair play to you. Like, just trying to take a bit of pressure off me. So I played the next day, and I did that. I did exactly what he said. And I sat there Saturday night, and I thought, that's not me. That's not how I got here.
You had that low feeling coming off the pitch where you always.
I just thought, what was the point of that? That's not how I play. That's not what's got me to the level that I've got to. And I understand what he was saying. And after that, I went out. Well, we had a discussion after that, basically saying that you've been out 18 months injured. I think you need to go and play some games. So obviously he thought I was nowhere near it, which he was right. I wasn't nowhere near it. I wasn't physically fit enough. I needed games. And I went to Watford. And basically Sean Dyche said to me, I want you to come here. I want you to enjoy it. Get the ball and get players. Do what you want. Enjoy it. And I did that. So when I went back to Wolves for my loan spell, I said to myself, I will play how I play, and if no one likes that, then I don't play. But
do you remember actually saying that
to myself?
To yourself?
Yeah.
Wow. What age? You were 23, 4.
24. Yeah.
24.
Yeah. I had to. There was something that I had to remind myself before games, every game.
Go on.
Or just be positive. Don't have a negative thought in your head of, you got to keep it simple. I was just thinking, I'm getting the ball and I'm getting this
fullback. Can I say something? If you hadn't have, and I think it's amazing that you pressed that switch, because I wasn't able to. I didn't know it. You were able to know it. If you hadn't have pressed that switch, I know it's playing hearsay, and if you'd, and I guess not had that conversation with yourself before you played and sat in the dressing room, listened to all the talk about the opposition, and you go through the opposition, you go through tactically what you're expected of your roles and responsibility, and you'd gone through all that and not had that chat. What is it hard? It's hard to predict, but what?
Well, yeah, I probably wouldn't have got my move to Stoke, because I remember when I went to Stoke and I had a really good game.
Against Stoke.
And I scored and played really well.
Yeah.
And that probably got me my move to Stoke.
And that was having the courage to be yourself.
Yeah, so if I didn't do that, I probably wouldn't have got that move.
Yeah.
But I was very lucky that I had a good loan spell at Watford. I was there for 2 months under an up-and-coming manager who I knew from day one that he was going to be a top manager. I remember speaking to yourself about it.
Yeah.
And obviously look what he's gone on to do.
Yeah. Someone who's a master of keeping the basics there.
And he was the first one to say to me, look, you're here on loan. Like, you're going to go back to Wolves because they want you back. Just use us as getting fit and enjoying your football again. And I really enjoyed it. Loved it.
So let's jump back to, because I think anyone listening or parents of kids in academies, so you took that route, you walked away from Tottenham's academy because it wasn't fun for you, which is a massive step for you to make as a young man, to take that decision. Like, your mum was great, she gave you that decision, you took it, you found your love back for the game. Love back.
I just think this is my opinion and my opinion only. I think now it's even worse. There's kids that are younger than 10 that are having this pressure put on them, and I feel like that affects you later on down the line.
So what do you think? What conversations could what would you have if you were coaching a 10-year-old player, or 12-year-old player, 30? What would you avoid saying, and what would you have loved
I would
to hear?
avoid putting pressure on them.
By how? What?
By taking the pressure off them, by saying, go out and play with freedom, do what you do best, do what you enjoy. If they make a mistake, you can speak to them and say, look, I think you could have done this or this. You're not got to scream and shout at them.
And also, what it takes, so you wouldn't be. You've got to make sure you go home and you're practicing every day, because that's what the best in the world. Because I don't think the best practice, but they don't over practice. They do enough, and then they have the courage when the whistle blows to.
Yeah,
they don't over.
You look at Ronaldo. He gives the ball away. He gets the ball the next time, and he's doing exactly what he did before. He doesn't care, does he? Because he's got such a strong mentality. But that takes years and years of.
And it's also in some people, isn't it?
Of graft mentally. I found that very, very difficult. If I gave the ball away, the next time I got the ball, if I gave it away again, the next time I got the ball, I'm
drowning.
I'm treading water, because I'm thinking, do not give this ball away. Where if the first thing you do in a game, yourself, if you do something well, you're flying, aren't you? Because you're thinking, right, I'm confident now. It's massive.
So just labouring the point. So you 16, 17, falling in love with the game, go sign for Southend, your local club. And I remember you coming into the first team squad. And we had a great squad of characters there, senior players. Some went on to play at very good levels. And I remember, and it's funny because I look at all the young lads I played with who came through. Yourself, Simeon Jackson, who went to the Premier League, Lee Tomlin, who went to the Premier League. All those guys who were playing, it was actually they all came in completely free, all of you. I remember all of you. I saw Lee Tomlin the other day talking about the real struggles he's had, suicidal thoughts on the M1, pulling over into the hard shoulder and just killing himself into the barrier. This was a guy who, 16, 17, came in, went to Man United on trial. He was backheeling volleys and off goal kicks, like killing it on his heel, and ridiculous talent. And there he is, 10, 12, 13 years down the line, hating life. I just think that enthusiasm. I remember your enthusiasm.
Yeah, it gets sucked out.
We used to call you the pond hopper, didn't we? Because one of the little things that
pondy
skips across the top of the pond.
Yeah.
Just like have the ball, fly around with it, run up the wing, give it away. Sorry, boys. Like give the ball away and run past 3 senior lads to go and get it back.
Yeah.
Absolute breath of fresh air. Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. And it's funny because I'm looking going, look at that. Incredible. Because I didn't know. I was 25, 26 by then, so I'd already been like 10 years into it. Don't give the next one away. You were just flying around, give it away.
I think when you're younger and you come onto the scene, you don't have that fear, do you? Because you're young and you don't overthink. I think the older you get, you start overthinking. I think when you're young, you just
scars there, isn't there?
Yeah, you just go out and you play a freedom until that gets beaten out of you, which it will.
Although you said at 13 you were already because I know what you're saying, but there is that one, isn't there, that young players play without fear. Some do. I remember being full of fear at 8. I remember being full of fear at 18, 19. No, don't give it.
I lived at home with my mum. I never had bills.
Right.
You know,
that's
you
massive,
have when you're older, you have a family to
You're
cater
right.
for. You have your bills. You're thinking, where's my next contract coming? I've got a year left. I need to start playing
You're right.
well. Where when you're younger, I never had any. I never had any bills. I was living at home. My mum was.
There was that safety net.
Yeah, my mum was great.
Yeah,
I didn't.
Yeah.
She did everything for me.
Yeah.
So I was very lucky. And
So
that helped. That probably helped me.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, have a start in the game.
Yeah.
But then I soon got released from Southend after doing well.
Yeah, well, let's go through that bit. So I remember you breaking into the first team at Southend, and things were going really well. You were playing a handful of games, 10, 11, 12 games, and doing stuff. And really, people, I'm sure there would have been, I look back now, I'm sure there would have been scouts in the stand at those games.
Yeah, I remember someone saying to me that West Ham
I'm sure
had made contact with the club. I'm not sure about a bid, but made contact with the club, and the club sort of knocked it back. And I wasn't bothered, to be honest. Obviously, West Ham, a massive club. But I was playing for my local club, and I was in the first team, and I was really enjoying football, and I wasn't bothered. And then 18 months later, I got let go and told that I wasn't good enough.
How was that? Because there'll be a lot of kids and a lot of parents who have that exact thing where you get that release. I didn't have that. How was that? What, 18?
Yeah, it was tough.
And you played in the first team by then.
Yeah. It was tough, and I remember that summer I went to Magaluf with one of the other lads, and I went out there for 2 weeks and ended up staying out there for 4 weeks, and I actually was about to sell jelly shots and work in Magaluf because I thought I'm not made for this football. I'm not. It's not for me. I've tried it once, it didn't work. I've tried it again, and I've got released. And to be fair to my mum said, "No, you get your ass back here. You'll come and get your ass back here now. You're not doing that." And I ended up going on trial to Grays.
You were in the conference at the time.
Yeah.
It's the 5th division in English football. Non-league, part-time division. Not so much now. It's more professional.
They were full-time, to be fair.
They were full-time, which was groundbreaking at the time. They must have had some decent investment, chairman.
Yeah, decent investment and a top manager, to be fair. I was very, very lucky because he changed a lot of stuff about my game, about my diet. I remember him saying to me, "Right, I want you to write down this week everything you eat, everything." Took it into him, and he looked at me like I had 3 heads. He was like, "Are you kidding me? You can't be a
Maryland cookies, Haribos.
you can't be an athlete and eat like that."
No.
So that was the first sort of taste of sort of having to be professional. And in my first year at Grays, I scored 18 goals from wide, and I thought that'd have been enough, to be honest, to get a move, but it wasn't. So obviously clubs were still looking at me. And then the next season, I think I scored 10 goals before sort of like November from wide, and that's when Wolves came in for me. And
that's just history,
yeah, amazing experience.
But that period. But here's the thing again: is that period where you drop out of the game. It's amazing. It's a major message to people, because I was doing one of these podcasts with Cameron McGinn, who grew up, through Chelsea and Fulham, and through no fault of his own, you think you're in a bubble there. You are not think you're in a bubble. And he said he sees now at Barnsley, it's a very, very good club. Like, he's in the Championship this season. But he said, honestly, mate, I didn't know they were. I'd have looked. If you'd have said to me Barnsley at 16, I'd have thought that's non-league. I wouldn't. You're at Chelsea. There's a lot of kids in that place, and they've got to realise, haven't you? You're an inspiration for that. Is that you can forget. For the greatest respect, Barnsley and Luton, top football league clubs, you can drop down to.
For me, I thought that was the perfect way for me to go. I didn't have that schooling of unbelievably good coaching at a young age. I did at Spurs, but then I dropped out, and where I feel like that does help being at a top club. I think you have the better coaches, technically. But for me, I felt it was better to go down the non-league route, and I feel that kept me grounded for all my career. I don't feel like I changed when I went to Wolves and when I went to Stoke and I started earning decent money. I don't think that changed me as a person. So for me, I thought that was a really good route, and I would always advise to any young lad that's at a top club, or even a club like Southend that's not playing. He's in the youth team and he's not playing. I think step down and play games, because that's the way you learn. By playing games in men's football.
It's a whole different thing, isn't it?
Yeah, massive.
It's why that jump is so hard, isn't it? From 18 to 21, that jump that they talk about.
It's difficult, but now you've got the under 23s, which is, in my opinion,
waste of time.
a waste of time, in my opinion.
Yeah, mine too. Doesn't have to be though. I think about the 23 lads I've worked with, but you're trying to put a pro mindset into, and they, they've been, a couple of them have been told in the game by the lads, "Oh, calm down, mate. Stop being so busy," which we know is going to come. Lads will say that, but that just sums it up right there, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's
that
right.
Sums it up.
Yeah,
calm down. Playing for one of the lads turned around to me. So someone said, "Calm down," to me. And he turned around and said, "Playing for my life here, mate. Calm down."
Yeah. Well, it's great that he can.
Yeah,
he can think that.
Yeah, yeah.
But
so
it's hard to play in those games. I've played in those games when I've come back from injury, and I would be thinking that. And some young lads running around, trying to, earn a living, trying to get his next contract. I'd be thinking, Jesus, like,
respect him though.
mate, it's an under 23 game, like, calm down. But yeah, I'd think I'm having that. I like that.
And the thing is, managers would, for a fact that managers would. Sean Dyche, for example, sit and watch.
I'd love it.
Yeah. If he's watching a 23s game, someone's tearing about and.
Yeah, you'd love it. Yeah, because that's what you need. But it's so hard to, in my opinion, it's so hard to do that in an under 23s game week in, week out. Where if you step down, if you're a championship player and you step down to League One and you go straight into a first team, people are playing for their lives. People are playing for points. People are playing to get promoted, to get relegated. It's massive. So that would always be my advice to anyone that's not playing.
In his first, coming towards the halfway point, but in this first part, we've kind of covered where you started, a little bit background on you, that whole academy career for you, into the pro game, delved into that a little bit, talked about pressure as a young player. In the second part, we're going to go into what it takes in this career, mentally, emotionally, to survive it, to flourish, to play at your best, to not play well, how it affects relationships, how it affects all those areas of our lives, which you and I can talk about for a long time. So I want to go into that deeper part of this, because I think I've highlighted it here. Want to start there. What people on the outside people don't fully understand it, and you're not putting people down by that. You're just saying, I don't think people do. So we're going to try and enlighten people, maybe.
Yeah, that's the thing. You don't want to be disrespectful to anyone.
No.
But it's like me saying to a bricklayer how to lay a brick. At the end of the day, I don't know. He knows better than me. So because it's what I've done, I feel like I know better than someone that hasn't played football what it takes.
Because I think what we're actually talking about, what it takes, is because you could have someone who's never played the game and has got every coaching license, and so they, probably better technically or tactically than you are.
Yeah. So
what we're actually saying about what it takes. When I think about what it takes, I always think emotionally. I don't think about tactics.
Oh yeah, to be a footballer at any level, you have to shut your emotions off, and that is wrong, isn't it? It's wrong in life. Why should you have to shut your emotions off to get on in life?
Great way to finish. So you have to shut your emotions off to get on it, to be a footballer.
You do, because you have so many knockbacks, and if all of those knockbacks you took to heart, you'd be a quivering wreck, wouldn't you? You have to be mentally so strong to play at any level in any sport.
The danger is, isn't it? And we're going to go into all this, is you almost have to, not only do you shut them off, you deny yourself that it happened at times. You just sweep it.
Yeah. But if you can't do that, so if I never I had to shut friends off, family off.
Yeah.
If I didn't do that, I probably wouldn't have been able to play at the level that I played at. But so the fact that I could do that meant that I was mentally strong enough to handle the pressures. Yeah, it comes with a price.
We'll talk about that in the second part. Great first half, Mike. Really enjoyed it, mate. And we'll come back after the break. This podcast is brought to you in association with the Turmeric Company. With a unique extracting technique, eliminating dilution of these incredible active ingredients, the Turmeric Company have produced a series of powerful drinks with 5 grams of turmeric in every bottle. They're leading the way in enabling people to reap the full benefits of nature's wonder ingredient. Details can be found at www.theturmericcompany.com. So welcome back to the second part of this podcast. Mike, we were talking in the break there, and you were saying, rightly so, you really want to get across the point that. Go on, I'll let you take over.
Well, yeah, I was just saying, after speaking for half an hour there, I don't want people to think that football's this horrible game and that I didn't want to do it and that I was ungrateful for doing it, because that couldn't be any further from the truth. I I lived my dream. My dream was to be a footballer at such a young age, and I lived it. And I'm so proud and honoured to say that I was a professional footballer. And it's a great gift.
And you understand that.
And I achieved it. Yeah, and I understand.
You're not up at 5 a.m. coming back at.
Yeah, obviously you have to dedicate your life, but in different ways. You know, there's people that go out and, you know, work, you know, 12-hour days. You know, on building sites or whatever, and it's that's tough in their, you know, line of work. And football does give you different kind of options. You earn good money if you do well in your career. So, you know, I really appreciate my career, and I am so lucky to say that I could, you know, play at Old Trafford and you know, play at Wembley and represent my country. You know, it's a great honour. But with that comes sacrifices.
And comes, let's finish, because I know we can talk all day. You finished saying the last half that you've got to shut your emotions off to survive. Now I totally agree with that. I ended up in rehab, and when I came out of rehab, it was quite clear while I was in there, not because I'm, you know, addict is a scary term for a lot of people. I was just emotionally dead. Simple as that, really. And so to feel alive, I need a shot of something. I'm not an alcoholic. Alcohol wasn't my drug of choice, drug of no choice. I could take or leave a drink. Women was an issue. The buzz of that. Spending money was an issue. Just needing to fulfill myself, needing to feel. There it is, to feel, because I couldn't feel. Because to feel in this career,
yeah, it's dangerous. But I felt I needed to feel love. When I felt love from a manager, from your fellow peers, I performed my best. When I didn't feel loved, I struggled, and for me, that's no coincidence.
With your experience, and you speak to people in the game, you know a lot of people at the highest level. You see these top Guardiola, and you speak to players. Do you think that's what comes across to you?
From the outside looking in, obviously, you know, you Klopp, you Guardiolas. You know, they have that passion of wanting to win, but they also give their players love.
The combination.
And I think if you're if you're a decent enough footballer to play at a decent enough standard, but you're confident and you feel like you can walk on water, you feel like it's impossible to have a bad game. And I've been in that situation where I was very, very confident. I was with my form. I had a manager that I knew would never bring me off because he knew that I could change a game, or I could score a goal, or I could set one up. And having that feeling in my head, knowing he ain't going to bring me off, even if I give the ball away, he ain't going to bring me off, made me play even better. So when it was the opposite, when I was thinking, I bet I'll hit a bad cross there, or you know, I'll give one away, I might come off in a minute. It had a complete opposite effect on me.
Does that make you mentally weak?
People can say possibly yes, but I wouldn't class myself as mentally weak.
I don't care what people think, mate. I want to care what do you know about yourself? You're a big man. You're a father. I don't think. I know you. You're not mentally weak.
I'm just not a robot. You know, I have feelings. And when I'm not feeling loved, or you know, I'm not feeling confident, I struggled with my game. It's a fine line, isn't it? Mentally weak. I think, you know, that gets rounded around a lot.
Mental toughness.
Yeah, you have to be mentally tough to be a footballer. If you're not, you don't become a professional footballer. Yeah. But it's very, very difficult. It's very fine line to explain it. Do you know what I mean?
Well, let's try. Look, it's my job to try and explain it today in what I do, so I'm going to take you there, and I just want your views, not mine. People are bored of me, but you can give great insights. Think about all those players you played with. You've sat and had chats with players, coaches, hotels, top players, internationals, not naming names on it. How many players, percentage-wise, would agree with what you're saying and say, I wish I had more. If I could just get that love and bit loved, I'd play much better? Give me a percentage off the bat.
Sure.
Chuck one in. I know it.
you try and talk to lads when you're in a dressing room. You're in 25 lads. Not all 25 of them are going to open up, but the ones that open up, I would literally say 100%.
100%.
I'll be very surprised, or I can't remember a player saying, "No, that doesn't bother me."
Yeah.
If I'm getting slaughtered by the gaffer, that's gonna make me play better. It might G you up a bit. It might say.
But even if it's not slaughtered by the manager, you know, like the little one, because love's a big word, isn't it? Love. If married, you think about the vows that are read out, and love combines all these things: trust, intimacy, caring for that person.
Yeah.
They're all part of love.
If a manager doesn't trust you, and you smell that, you can feel that when a manager doesn't trust you. It's hard to get back on that.
But isn't it great irony?
You're spiraling down.
But isn't it great irony? And you've touched it earlier in your career. I see it day in, day out with young players. If they can step to trusting themselves in spite of all the noise,
it's gold dust.
The others will love them.
Yeah.
But actually, the great irony is if they buy into play safe, keep it, don't.
Yeah, that's
trust.
That's the gold dust, isn't it? If you can crack that at such an early age, which is tough because you have to go deep into yourself. You have to talk to someone on a level, someone that's not connected with you. I think if you talk to a friend or a family, or a partner, it's hard to go there with them because you're trying to protect them. You're trying to protect yourself.
Rescue you, don't they?
They
Save
do.
You,
yeah. So I think it has to be someone that's sort of, gonna think on a level that they're not got that emotional connection with that person.
I want to talk about this whole part, the second part. It's flying through, 23 minutes left, but emotions. You said in the first part that people don't look at. A lot of people talk about football, and it's great. That's the beautiful thing about football, opinions, but they don't fully understand it. They look at the game differently, and I've put why. What do they see? What do you see?
Well, I think not all fans, but majority of fans think, this Premier League footballer's on 200 grand a week. Basically, he should be a robot. He shouldn't feel those emotions. He should be able to deal with them because he's, been bought for 90 million. Well, no, he's still a human being. He still has a heart. He still has a brain. And I think they struggle to understand that because you're getting paid, so much money. And I look back when I was earning good money. I used that money to, buy me happiness, cover up unhappiness at that particular time. And I only realise that now because I did that. At the time, I didn't think I was doing that. Going out, buying,
watches and.
Yeah, silly things, and every person in the world loves to treat himself and buy themselves nice things, isn't that? And that's naturally that's normal. But when I look back now, I was probably doing all those, those things, buying things that I didn't really need, spending silly amounts on holidays when you can have a holiday and have a great time without spending that kind of money to feel a void, of unhappiness.
And that void, you talked about at 13, that void first came at Tottenham. The void starts, love goes. Love goes. It's quite simple, isn't it? That void, for me, I ended up going into Sex and Love Addicts Anonymous, and people sex addict, and no, sex addiction was not the issue. Let's look at sex and love addicts. So it was a love addiction. Once you work through, it's the love addiction. It's the needing to feel.
Well, this is the problem. This is why every player's different. I was different. I generally believe because I never had my father around as a kid.
Sure.
So I think that had an effect on me. I didn't know it when I was young, and I didn't know it till recently, really, probably. But that had an effect on how I was. I could emotionally shut off because I'd done it from such a young age, from my dad leaving, where players don't have that. Some players do. Some players deal with it differently, and that's just the way I dealt with it. So I had to shut off emotionally from that at such a young age, at sort of 10 years old, and that helped me in my career because I was already trained to do it.
See, I don't think you were. Sorry, mate. It's my point to challenge. I remember. Don't forget though. I'm looking at you. I was 26, so you can't see yourself how I saw you looking back as a senior player. So I've been, say, I left home at 16. So at 26, I'm 10 years in. You're at home. I remember looking in. There was a light in your eyes. There was a light in your eyes.
Oh yeah, it was a love for the game. Loved football. Loved running.
You weren't trying to fill a void. You were just being yourself.
No, I didn't. No.
So I don't think you did.
I think that comes as you go older and you start thinking.
The reason I'm taking you there is because I worked through. My dad wasn't there, and I had to work through all that issue and that father issue and work through all that in therapy.
But I never worked on that in therapy.
I didn't until I was 33.
Until I was older. Yeah.
Right. But my point is, I don't want to talk over, but because I want people to get something out of this. That wasn't the reason I was driven. I thought it was the reason I was driven. For years, I actually thought it was to fill that. And actually, once I came through, I retired.
See,
I'm still going after it now. It's still in me.
Well, I used that to drive me, 100%. But I used my dad leaving to drive me. I wanted to make something in the game to prove to him that he had made a mistake, and that was my drive.
But what's interesting is, and you might know, say he was there and you got those needs met, would I still have that drive? I don't know. Who knows? Well, let's talk about now. So you've worked on that issue. You've come through full cycle. You've made the money of football. You're now retiring. Not today, because you're looking now going, whew, I don't have to be in tomorrow for training. I can sit here on a Monday evening after a game of golf and have a beer. Great. Don't have to be in training tomorrow morning. And it might not happen tomorrow, but at some point, you're telling me there won't be a drive there to go and achieve something again.
There'll definitely be a drive in whatever I do, because I'll have a passion in it, whatever I do. So yeah, that is in me. Yeah,
I'm trying to get there.
Yeah. It's in me, 100%. Yeah, no, I've said to you before. And I go to David Lloyd and I get on the running machine.
Tell me, you worked out this morning. You told me today when we were playing golf, you went to the gym this morning.
Yesterday morning.
Yesterday morning.
Yeah.
When you're running, what level on the treadmill did you start? What level did you start?
14.
14, which is a decent go.
Yeah.
What music did you have on? Something getting you going?
I had a bit of everything, really.
Okay.
Some
for love
emotional
song,
music.
How'd you get?
No, a bit of everything, really. Yeah, a bit of garage, bit of.
Right. Is there ever a voice on that treadmill going, "Fucking lazy, look at you, you've lost it here. You've got to go here, up it."
Yeah, yeah. and I look at the person next to me.
Go on, say it, because
well, just chilling on the running, chilling, not getting a sweat on. And I think I'll show you what a workout is. I'm going to run here. Yeah. And it's mad because
by the way, just to fill a void that your dad left.
No, that's just the animal in me.
Yep.
It's the creature that the game that it brings to you. It does.
The game does bring it to you. I think it's who you are, and you've just ended up in the game.
No, because I feel like it moulds you into a person where you're competitive in everything that you do.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but you've got there because you compare. What I feel, and you please bounce back to me. What I feel, I was just me going into the game. The game didn't do anything to me. You realise to survive, you've got to be competitive. But I was already competitive. And actually, if you left me and filled me full of love and fun and kept my love for it, I'd have still wanted to run.
Yeah.
13 kilometres.
I think there's two sides to that.
Go on.
I do. I'm totally with you, because that was in me at such a young age, being competitive in everything that I did, wanting to win, even if it was a game of chess. I was competitive in that. But I feel football, in my opinion, I feel it has two sides. I feel like it does mould you into a certain person, and it makes you become this competitor, because you're doing it from daily basis. You are competing against your friends, basically.
Well, I think it's survival of the fittest. For me, it didn't make me. I was already competitive. I then get dropped in, and what it did for me, and I'm dying to hear your thing, what it did for me, I never had anyone go, like you work in the corporate world now, they have these kind of thing where they analyse your personality. I know Sean Dyche was doing it at Burnley, where they analyse, it's like red, green, amber, or so you're a red type of character, macho male, whatever, and so they go, it's a profiling.
Yeah.
Now I'm sure if someone had profiled me when I was 18 and said, "Whoa, you..."
Yeah, everyone's profile's different in that dressing room. Yeah.
So, and then it would have been like, okay, that's your profile. So what do I need to give to him to fulfil his profile.
Yeah.
And here's the key bit that I don't think's bit. I work in one company in the city, eSynergy. I can broadcast that because I've done a podcast with the owner. They do the profiling. What are you going to do with that alpha male who wants to beat his chest, rip doors off, but achieve massive, but is driven? He needs a bit of love.
Yeah.
I look at that alpha male. He needs a bit of love.
It's mad you say that, because you saying that took me back to a conversation that I had with a manager, and I thought, I'm going to go and speak to the manager and I'm going to tell him that I've got, a couple of issues outside of football going on.
Just a couple.
I'm going to be blatantly honest with him, and I'm going to tell him. So I did that. What happened? What happened next week?
I dropped.
It's mad, isn't it?
I bet you never did it again.
Well, that's the problem, isn't it? That's what people don't want to open up and talk about their problems and their issues, because they're scared of getting dropped. And people say, oh, well, you got to speak up, you got to say what you're going to say, and you do it, and then it affects you playing on a Saturday. The one release that you can get on a Saturday, you can go out and play. The manager takes it away from you because he goes, oh, he's not mentally right for it.
Can't be trusted.
Yeah, he can't be trusted to go out and perform.
Did you see the thing about Danny Rose when he came out in that and said that in that royal thing we did with Prince William and
yes, did.
And he said, I after my issue come out with mental health, a club actually said to my agent, we're not sure about this.
So what's he supposed to do? Not come out?
Well, yeah, we all know the lads.
Yeah.
You don't come out.
Yeah,
we know you can't.
Yeah, and that has a massive effect, doesn't it? Let's be honest.
I went through the same thing. I was 25, knocked on a manager's door, hadn't played well on a Saturday, full of fear, played safe, giving everything away, knocked on his door Monday morning. He called me in. What the hell was that? I went, boss, I woke up Saturday morning, I got this thing with a girl, she hadn't run me for 4 days, feel a bit flat, didn't have anything. He just looked at me, he's like, well, are you telling me you don't want to play in 2 days' time? I said, I didn't say that, you just asked me how I feel. He's like, well, you either you want to play or you don't want to play. So I'm thinking, well, no, I want to play. Okay, out you go. And I went out, and I'm just thinking,
that's the thing.
But that made me angry. And then, first header, bump, elbow straight across someone. What's up with him?
It's mad.
Why are you so angry? The manager used to say to me, I'm like, why am I so angry? I actually said to one manager, anyway, he rang me after training. Why are you so angry? I just want to understand this. Why am I so fucking angry? Well, I've been on the bench about 12 times this season, then I come back in, find myself again, hit some form, you love me. Then I've not lose my form, you drop me. So I get angry because there's been no conversation. Then I come back in and find it somehow, usually because I've had a drink or you've got something going on, a couple of girls, get a bit of buzz, find it, love me, drop it, drop me.
And that's the thing, I can relate to that,
right,
because I've played the game. And so when we're saying about people that haven't played the game, people can't relate to that.
Okay.
Where if you've played the game, you can relate. I'm sitting here laughing at you because I'm thinking I've been there. I'm exactly the same.
How many players? And if you're honest, you spoke to a lot of all of us.
That's what I'm saying. 100%.
100%.
It's just whether someone can go there and open up about it. A lot of players might go, I'm not going to talk about that because.
Rightly so. I wouldn't knock them for that.
No. Where I'm quite open. If someone asks me a question, and I'll be honest, I won't hide it.
And that actually keeps your mental health in good place because you're not hiding.
Yeah, definitely.
I think a lot of mental health is buried stuff.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but we're told to to speak up about our feelings, but yet if you do, it's going to affect you coming on a Saturday. So you're not going to play. So how does that work? You need a manager. In my opinion, you need a manager to understand that.
Understand their own feelings. And it's the bit, I don't know what your views are, because you've done your A licence, are you doing it?
I've done my B licence, yeah, but
it's
to be honest, it's sort of put me off a little bit.
Oh wow, go on. Didn't know.
I have more of a passion in looking after, managing people, and to go into football and be a manager. I think first and foremost you need to be a coach and you need to learn your stripes and you need to go up, and it just doesn't. I just don't have the passion in that. I have more passion in managing people. So my next chapter is to go into agency and work with these young players and help guide them through the things that I'd learned along the way. And I think
what's a question you might ask a young player? 18, going to a game. 17, going to a game. What would you say? How you feeling?
Yeah, what fears do you have about this game?
Brilliant.
And try and take that fear out of them. If I look at them and I think they're a good player, try and help them bring out the best in themselves. If they've got it, if they've got the ability, then try and help them bring it out. And that's why I would love to be a manager, but it's the steps to get to that level. I haven't got the passion to sort of coach, rather than man management. And I think if I can do that in agency, there's a lot of agents out there, very good agents, but again, there's a lot of them that haven't played the game. So although you chat to them and you'll speak to them on the phone for half an hour and you'll say that you feel like this and you feel like that, and they'll go, yeah, okay, we'll do this and do that, they actually don't know what it feels like to get dropped, to be injured for 18 months. I look back and I was injured for 18 months, suffering severe depression. But I didn't know it at the time. If someone said to me, Kite, she was depressed, I'd have said, no chance. No, I'm not.
No, me too.
But I look back now and think, I was depressed.
Badly.
Yeah, I was sitting in a room playing Call of Duty for 5-6 hours in the dark, didn't want to speak to anyone, just felt so worthless. So if I had a player that was going through that, I would know exactly how he's feeling, because I've been through it myself.
And I see the same in it's all walks. It's not, this podcast is never about football. I see it in all walks of life. I see it certainly see in the business world I work in. Everyone the solution's always a technical solution, or and that's the same in business. A technical solution, or we need to create another plan, or we need to do some upskilling and some more training. You've seen that in football.
Oh, in football.
More training.
Well, this is the perfect scenario. Last season, we was going through a bad spell, and because of that, we're training every single day. Going through a bad spell, but we're training every single day because.
This is not. Ever since I've recorded any of these, this is not about throwing people under the bus, coaches, we're better than them. It's not about any of that rubbish. It's about your honest opinion.
My honest opinion at that time, the last thing I needed was another training session. So I was going into a game on a Saturday feeling absolutely knackered, and so was everyone else. So every other player was. And also we had pressures to win games, because if we didn't, we were going to get relegated. But yet we train more, because we're not winning. We need to train more. Where if it had gone the other way round and gone, right, boys, calm down, have a couple of days off, spend some time with your family, come back in refreshed, mentally, physically, and let's go and win a game.
Well, let me take it a step further, because you're right. But what about saying that, give you the days off, then calling a meeting and standing up there, whoever it is, and this is kind of what I've done when I've worked is. What we feeling? Because let me speak about me. I'm fucking terrified.
Yeah,
I'm terrified of giving the ball away. If you'd have asked me,
it'd make people relax, wouldn't it? It would. You'd go, if he's feeling like that, that's how I've been feeling. But I've been scared to say it.
Yeah. A player said to me the other day, he's on loan at a top club, and they had a sports psychologist come in, and he asked everyone. Very clever how they did it. So there was a big screen at the front. I don't know whether it was on an app or what. They could write their questions to him, and it would go up on the screen, but anonymously.
Yeah.
So it's like 25 players would put their... And this lad was saying to me, I couldn't believe how much... Everyone was terrified.
Yeah.
But we've worked for 3 years on his fears, but he's like, everyone's terrified. It's anonymous. These are top players.
Yeah. Well, and this is the thing, young lads. Last day of the season, we stayed up, and I remember a young lad crying his eyes out, and I gave him a cuddle, and he was inconsolable, crying his eyes out. And I think, what has he been carrying for the last 2 months mentally? He must, for him to drop down like that and cry, he must have been carrying a lot. And probably because of that, he wasn't performing as well as he had been in
100%
previous games.
100%.
So it's why Klopp, Guardiola, that's why they're so good, in my opinion. From looking outside, I don't know, but because I feel like they have a level of understanding of emotions from looking from the outside. That's my opinion. And
we don't have to look at what Raheem Sterling said last year. I saw him interviewed and saying, well, someone said to him, "Oh, you haven't done this before, scored this many goals." And he said, "Well, yes, I have." The guy looked at him puzzled. He went, "Did it when I was 12. I did it when I was 9 and 10 and 11 and 12 and 13 and 14 and 15, 16. This guy's looking at me, 17, 18, 19, stopped. Just started thinking, well, now I've got to do this and got to do that. And then
because now he has a manager now that brings the best out of him.
Yeah, and he had with Brendan Rodgers as well. I think he had he's had Brendan Rodgers straight to. And everyone knows Brendan Rodgers is a very emotional manager. Yeah. And he's like, I haven't suddenly found anything. I haven't done striker training, or I was doing this at 9.
Yeah.
He goes, you know what I've done? Number 1, I've stopped listening to people. Number 2, I've stopped listening to people. Number 3, I've stopped listening to people.
Brilliant.
I just do what I do.
Brilliant. And if you can be that clear in your mind going into every game, then you've got a chance, haven't you? If you've got a million thoughts in your head, you know, we laugh about golf swing, you know, trying to swing a golf club, you know, and you're having a million thoughts, it changes. And if you go into a game and you have a million thoughts, don't give it away, don't do this, don't do that, make sure he doesn't run you, make sure you track your man, make sure that this and that happens. You're just frazzled, aren't you? By the end of it, you're frazzled. And then you can't physically perform because you're mentally frazzled. I've been like that many a time.
Yeah, absolutely fried, absolutely mentally fried. And it's amazing how much that affects. You know, people, again, outside the game will judge, say, Manchester United last year and called people lazy. It's amazing when you're mentally frazzled.
You have no energy.
No energy.
You have no energy.
0.
I've been there where you're just going into a game and you've prepared exactly the same the week before. You've eaten exactly the same at the same time. Yeah. You've prepared exactly the same. And you go into that game and you've got nothing in your legs. You feel like you cannot sprint.
Yeah, I know.
Why is that? It's because you're mentally frazzled.
Frazzled, yeah.
And
people will judge you as lazy.
Yeah.
Or he's not quite at it. Maybe he needs a few more games in the reserves. And then you'll go in the reserves, free as a bird.
Yeah,
be sprinting everywhere in the light.
Yeah, because when you're mentally clear and you have you're clear about what you're doing and you're confident and you have that feeling of a manager that believes in you, all of a sudden you can sprint even quicker. When the ball comes to you, you don't even think about controlling it. You just control it.
So something I want to touch on, because we're 57 minutes now. Something I want to touch on. You've done the A licence, B licence. I've done the B licence. Something I'd love to see change in the football world, and of course in the corporate world, I see it now. Why can't there be a whole section on ex-players in that B licence and A licence before that gets signed off as passing? You've done all your hours of coaching. You've had an assessed 11v11 that you can take all that stuff in football. You've got to then go through 6 months or a year of therapy or psychotherapy, and that lady or man therapist signs you off and goes, he has dealt with emotionally himself and what the career did to him. He's back in touch with his feelings. He's now ready to go and lead others. What's your views on that?
I think that would be a brilliant idea.
I do, yeah.
Because the most powerful person in a football club is a manager. And if he understands his players on an emotional level...
Understands himself, which I'm trying to get that gets all the trauma of his career out.
Because if he's been a previous player, he would have had all these issues.
Fucking right.
But then managers... And I always say, how many times have I said to you, this manager used to be a player and he's doing these things. Why is he doing these things when he used to play the game and he used to know how it made him feel? But they have different pressures. They have chairmans.
You've said it. You had to deaden yourself. You couldn't feel. So if you couldn't, I couldn't. And you said 100% of lad. Well, there's no way all these ex-player managers, they've done the same.
Exactly.
They've shut their feelings down.
Yeah. But they have different pressures now as a manager because they have, how many employees relying on them to stay in the league or get promoted. So they have different pressures.
Well, fear's fear. Whether you're a bricklayer who's got to provide the next week's wages for your family. Yeah, fear is fucking fear.
But a manager has to bring out the best in 25 other lads. A bricklayer just, no disrespect, he lays his bricks.
But you've got a manager of bricklayers. You've got the site manager.
Yeah.
So, well, my point is the emotional. I just think in that football thing, you could get ex-players before they pass it, because we can all put on 11v11.
Yeah.
I could do it without doing any licenses, roughly.
Yeah. You could put a training session on, couldn't you, without doing it? You could. Obviously, there's ways of delivering them.
Sure.
But I think that would be a really good idea,
yeah, I do.
Especially nowadays with, people being more open. 10 years ago, people weren't open, I don't think, when I first started playing the game.
One of the lads that we both know did his A licence this summer, finished it off, and he just said, I just sat by myself for a bit, I just head had gone. And he started to do quite a little therapy this last year, and I said, why? He's like, mate, everyone's talking about a jump press. I'm like, what's a jump press? And he's like, I said, no, what is it? And he goes, well, you're watching young lads at all these top clubs every week. I'm like, yeah, I never. What's a jump press? Is it a kangaroo? He's like, no, it's when the goalkeeper kicks the first phase. It's like, I think, it's called getting the ball back. Like he kicks it and go and get after it.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? It's getting more and more technical.
And
People are caught mad, these mid-press, half-press.
And he said everyone was like, that's the jump press in training.
You know, full press and that. You know, it's changing, isn't it? But
what's changing though? It's like 11 humans versus 11 humans.
Yeah, but I think if you can manage a player, you're going to get more out of him rather than saying to him, you need to full press. Or
So to finish, because we're at a minute now, a minute and 1 minute. You said something earlier. This has been about from love. This has been about from love to fear. So your love went at 13. You got your love back, and I saw you at 17 running everywhere. I wouldn't need to tell you to run around at 17.
I just did it.
Had to slow you down.
I used to love doing it.
And the senior lads going, calm him down. He was sprinting everywhere. And we just had it with a golfer recently we're working with, where is he working hard because the results haven't been there. And I heard my head going, well, maybe it's the work ethic. I stopped myself fucking quick and went, no. He's been traumatised. He's 28. He's been playing for 10 years, missing cuts, missing. He needs to get his love back. We need to work through all his feelings and all his hurt and all his pain. And you know what? He said to me the other day, I was at the range from 9 a.m. I left the course at 9 p.m. I practiced, took my headphones out, just listened to the birds, then went out and played 9, then went out and played 18. I said, I didn't tell you to do that. He goes, no, I just loved it.
There you go.
Fucking hell. Got a chance, in you?
Yeah, well, you have. if you can get that love back for
who knows?
For anything that you do. When that goes, it's hard to stay dedicated, and I've found that hard in the last couple of years to keep dedicated, and that's why I've found the right decision for me is to now retire, because I feel like I'm not doing myself any justice. I feel like I'm not doing my teammates any justice, the manager any justice, and as scary as it is, I feel like I've been treading water for the last 2 years. Because I know...
Not because you're a lazy guy. You're one of the most driven, humble men I know.
No, because I work hard when I'm there, but I feel like I've been treading water in a way that I know that retirement is coming. I can see it coming. I've just been scared to face the fact that it's coming. And I think now's the right time for me to go into a new chapter and hopefully give back to the younger generation, and not even just the younger generation, to anyone that needs help, guidance, and that's why I want to do it through agency, because I feel like I can work with someone on a day-to-day basis, emotionally, physically, be able to guide them, and that I have a passion in that. When I talk about it, I know I have a passion in it, where I don't have that same kind of passion into coaching and into playing anymore. I don't have that passion to play football.
No. Mike, thanks for your time, mate. And I know wherever you go and doing it, and I know you're going to go into the side where you're helping players. There's very few players, and you know what, I do it for a job now, but there's very few players, ex-players, that I know who I would say can really guide a young player, and I know you're one of them. And this is what I hope the FA and all these people can just help the ex-players. You've done all this work on yourself because you're a very deep guy. B, you've been through some stuff, family stuff and personal stuff, football stuff. So you've done the therapy work, and you're now able to, yourself pretty much, and now you're able to talk openly about feelings with these young players and go, you're probably terrified today. Yeah, I am. How do you know that? Don't worry, mate. Yeah. So was I. What, when you're on 30 grand a week? Oh, it's petrified. So yeah, I think I wish you all the best, mate. I really appreciate your time today.
No, I've really enjoyed it.
Top man.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Top man.